On a breezy spring afternoon, Daniel Foster, a reserved man in his mid-50s, stepped into a bustling car dealership. The air was rich with the scent of new leather and the sharp tang of fresh rubber tires. Gleaming metal surfaces reflected the overhead lights like tiny suns, creating a pristine, high-end atmosphere. Clutching the keys to his aging sedan, Daniel's gaze shifted across the lineup of sleek, modern vehicles. His plain brown shirt and weathered sneakers stood out in stark contrast to the store's polished decor and the well-dressed clientele. But Daniel wasn't there to impress anyone, he had a goal. He needed a car that fit his needs, and nothing more. His steady eyes hinted at quiet resolve, even as his modest appearance invited others to underestimate him. As Daniel wandered through the dealership's showroom, the soft hum of conversations blended with the faint clicks of high heels on the glossy tile floor. His gaze lingered on the glistening display of vehicles, each one more advanced and stylish than the last. Despite his evident interest, none of the sales staff approached him. Instead, they hovered around younger, trendier customers who looked like they'd make substantial purchases. Daniel's modest appearance seemed to render him invisible. One salesman, Chris Lewis, a young man with a sharp suit and an overconfident grin, cast a fleeting glance at Daniel before turning his attention to a couple clad in designer outfits. The whispers, disapproving glances, and subtle dismissiveness from the staff were impossible to ignore. Daniel stood beside a sleek, silver sedan, running his fingers over its cool, polished surface. The smooth texture beneath his fingertips sparked a quiet moment of reflection. He could picture himself behind the wheel, driving down an open road. The image was clear in his mind, but it wasn't to be, at least, not today. After 20 minutes of being ignored, his patience wore thin. He decided to approach the main desk, where 3 salesmen stood, chatting animatedly with one another. "Excuse me," he said, his voice firm but polite. "I'm looking to buy a car. Can someone assist me?" Chris barely glanced up from his phone. "We're kind of busy right now," he said dismissively. "Come back later, maybe." Daniel's face remained calm, but inside, a storm of frustration was brewing. He nodded quietly, turned around, and walked toward the exit. As he left, he heard a faint chuckle from one of the clerks. "Just another browser," someone muttered under their breath. What they didn't know was that Daniel Foster was far from ordinary. Over the years, he had built a successful automotive parts company, quietly amassing wealth beyond what most people could imagine. He valued humility and discretion, preferring to live a modest lifestyle. But the humiliation he felt that day lingered. On his drive home, his mind churned with a plan. That evening, Daniel sat in his home office, illuminated only by the glow of his laptop screen. With focused intensity, he made several phone calls to key figures in his professional network. Names were spoken, agreements were made, and by the next morning, his plan had evolved into a strategy that would change the dealership's future forever. The following day, Daniel returned to the dealership. This time, he wasn't there as a customer. After an evening of negotiations and a few swift business moves, Daniel had arranged to purchase the entire dealership. As he stepped through the entrance, the dealership's ambience felt the same, but a monumental shift had occurred. Daniel's attire hadn't changed, he still wore his plain brown shirt and sneakers. His quiet demeanor remained, but his eyes carried a new spark of determination. The dealership's manager, a man named Peter Wallace, spotted Daniel immediately but had no idea of the reason for his return. Flashing a customer service smile, Peter approached him. "Welcome back, sir," Peter said, his tone courteous but forced. "Looking to make a purchase today?" Without a word, Daniel pulled out a set of documents from his jacket and handed them to Peter. Peter's eyes darted over the papers, and his confident expression shifted to confusion, then disbelief. His face went pale as he reread the pages. This must be some mistake," Peter muttered, his voice cracking. "No mistake," Daniel replied, his tone calm but firm. "I'm not here to buy a car. I'm here as your new owner." Silence swept across the showroom. Conversations halted, and eyes turned toward the counter where Daniel and Peter stood. Whispers echoed as employees tried to piece together what had just happened. Peter's hands shook as he held the documents. You bought the dealership?" Peter's voice trembled. "That's right," Daniel replied, his voice steady. "As of this morning, I own it. And things are about to change." The color drained from Peter's face as the weight of Daniel's words sank in. Staff members exchanged uneasy glances. Chris Lewis, the overconfident clerk, froze where he stood, his grin vanishing in an instant. Daniel addressed the entire showroom, his voice carrying authority. "Yesterday, I came here as a customer," he began. "I was prepared to buy a car, but instead of being treated with dignity, I was ignored, dismissed, and judged by my appearance. That was your mistake." The staff stood silent as Daniel's words hung in the air. "Today, that ends," he declared. "From now on, every person who walks through those doors will be treated with respect, regardless of their appearance or how much you think they're worth." Daniel's eyes swept the room. "Chris Lewis," he called. Chris's face turned red. "Why yes, sir," he stammered. "You've demonstrated the kind of behavior that's unacceptable here. Collect your things and leave." Chris's mouth opened, but no words came out. Shoulders slumped, he walked toward the back room to collect his belongings. Not everyone was let go. Daniel's eyes settled on Leah Brooks, a young associate who had greeted him with a genuine smile the day before. "Leah Brooks," Daniel called, and she stepped forward nervously. "Yes, sir," she asked cautiously. "You're one of the few people here who treated me with basic human respect," Daniel said. "Starting today, you're the new floor manager. I'm counting on you to lead with integrity." "Me?" Leah's eyes widened. "I've only been here a few months." "Experience matters less than character," Daniel replied, his gaze warm but firm. "You've shown me enough. When others overlooked me, you didn't. That's the kind of person I want leading this team." This story serves as a powerful reminder that true wealth and value aren't always visible on the surface. Daniel's journey is proof that humility, patience, and quiet determination can lead to monumental change. It's easy to judge others based on their appearance, but this story challenges us to look deeper. Daniel's ability to rise above the dismissiveness and take control of his destiny is a lesson in perseverance and strength. So, let this be a call to action for all of us. How often do we overlook people because they don't look the part? How often do we make assumptions about someone's value based on their clothes, their car, or their outward appearance? This story is a wake-up call to treat everyone with respect and dignity, no matter how they present themselves. Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been underestimated or dismissed because of how you appeared? Or perhaps, have you been on the other side, making assumptions about someone else? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else to see the world a little differently. This story reminds us that respect, kindness, and humility are powerful forces. Small gestures of kindness can create ripples of change. The next time you encounter someone who doesn't fit the mold, take a moment to pause. Offer respect, offer patience, and you may discover something extraordinary beneath the surface. Remember, your value is not determined by what's on the outside but by what's within. If you've ever experienced a moment where someone's kindness, patience, or respect changed your life, share it below. Let's create a space for stories of encouragement and reflection. Your words might be the inspiration someone else needs today.